Did you know that Scripture and history teach that Jesus is not coming back again for the Rapture or Armageddon, but rather that these events have already taken place? And the reason you don't know this, especially as a Bible believer, is because you were taught and altogether born within these past few centuries which fall within the prophesied season of Satan's release and deception. This is what we want to briefly discuss in history today. As we have previously elaborated on the world history section of this website, kunleministers.org, we see that God has a 7,000-year plan for this earth. That is from the creation of Adam till the coming time of the new heaven and the new earth, as shown on this timeline. In fact, because there is such a clear plan, and this plan is literally laid bare in scriptures, one of the things that the enemy had to do was to change the times as much as he changed the laws. Let us have a quick look at this timeline. Now, this is the KM World History timeline, and in general, the information on this chart was obtained from scripture and history, combining information from, number 1, the book of Daniel, especially the 70 weeks prophecy, number 2, the book of Matthew, which is largely the same as Mark, Luke, and John. Number 3 is the book of Revelation, especially the prophecies in it. Number 4 is the book of Enoch, particularly the dreams that God showed him of the whole experience of mankind, which was prophesied that it would last for 10 prophetic weeks, which was apparently 7,000 literal years. Number 5, the book of Josephus, called the Antiquities of the Jews, particularly the careful summation of the years he himself mentioned in the book's table of content. Number 6 is the Epistle of Apollos the Prophet, which narrates how the events of the coming of Jesus Christ took place and how the prophet Apollos himself was left behind. And number 7 and 8 are the Tacitus and the Cassius Dio's Roman history books. Combining these 8 sources and more, we were able to gather these 5 findings. As we state these findings, note that we will use the BC and AD dating systems, which count backwards and forwards respectively, and then the AM system, that is the Anno Mundi, or in the year of the world, and this system simply counts forward from the creation of the earth. So here are the 5 findings. Number 1, the world, or let's say Adam, was created at about 5,710 BC and not 4004 BC as mainstream Christianity teaches. This year of creation is the year 1 AM. Number 2, Jesus returned for the rapture at about 46 to 76 AD, shortly after his death and resurrection, just as he promised and said multiple times in the Bible. And it was that exact time when the temple in Jerusalem was being destroyed by the Romans. And that year, commonly known as 70 AD, is 5,785 AM. Number 3, shortly after that, Jesus judged Rome and ruled the world with the saints for 1,000 years, that is from 5,785 AM to 6,785 AM, which is about 76 AD to 1076 AD. While the devil was bound in the same millennium time period. Then number 4, the devil was released immediately after the 1,000 years for a short season in which he deceived and deceives the world. And that leads us to number 5, that is, we are actually still currently in that short season between 6,785 AM and the year 7001 AM, when the new heaven and the new earth will come. And that year 7001 would be roughly about 1,300 years after Jesus' birth on earth. So one apparent implication of these 5 inferences, especially the 5th one, is that it is not yet up to 2,000 years after Jesus' birth at all. It in fact sums up that it's only just been about 1,200 plus years since Jesus' birth till present day. By the way, we already discussed FAQs that people might have, like carbon dating, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the gap theory, which doesn't exist, in the full world history series on this website. Further implications of these findings is that this year should not be called 2024 AD, but probably 1264 AD. Now, that is not to say that we are somehow in the past. We are in the present, of course. But what we're saying is that the name or the numbering of the year is wrong. It's just as simple as that. So, plausible explanations of how the enemy successfully made 1,200 years look like 2,000 years have been explained in depth in the world history section of this website. Like how the I's and the J's in the dates were changed to the number 1. Like this year, J769, for example, is changed to about 1769, as you see on this Wikipedia page. And how in the Western world, many parents were put in mental asylums and whole generations of children were re-educated. And then many parts of the world were apparently invaded, colonized, and given the new year counting system. So the question is, what are we waiting for, or what is coming next? Listen to this. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be released out of his prison, which has happened, and shall go out to deceive the nations, which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, which is happening. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them, which will happen. Now, before you assume you know the nations being referred to in this prophecy, let me show you two mysteries. Number one, the Chinese word for America is Meiguo. And number two, the chosen people of God, the real Bible Israel, is not in the Middle East, but is in sub-Saharan Africa. Africans, remember these three things. Number one, know your enemy. Number two, remove your bad leaders. And like Enoch, our father, and the anointed one Yeshua told us, love one another. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.